Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Day 2 of the Halo Championship Series Pro League Summer 2016 Finals. Thanks for joining us. My name is Bravo, alongside my co-analysts Strong Side and Sims Side. We saw some great relegation matches yesterday. Of course, we're heading to finals, but first we should recap what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I got to touch on that CTF game on Fathom. I mean, that was a series in itself. I mean, just going through that game after game after game was absolutely insane. And now we have our two teams, which are going to be making it out of that relic gaming and Team Liquidation.
Right, of course, they made a statement. You're checking out some highlights from those Fathom CTFs. A grueling series of matches. I caught straight sick earlier this morning. I mean, right there, you see 8 seconds left on the clock. We thought Optic in that third or fourth replay, I can't even recall anymore, was going to be able to close it out. In the end, though, it was Optic in the sudden death replay who would take that the tone for the series, of course, mid-game, and really set it very difficult for Denial to bounce back. Now you're also watching Eden Strongholds. Of course, Optic looked very strong on that game type as well.
I mean, when we look at Optic, people give them a lot of stick. People really doubted them coming into this, including myself. I'm not going to be one to lie there. Denial looked extremely strong. They were coming in, setting a statement. Obviously, Liquid chose to avoid them at the initial start. Things just didn't go their way at the end of the day, and Optic Gaming become the Optic Gaming that we know they can be. They are the land beast. You can check out the bracket there.
And one thing I have to note, I mean, look at that first round of that winner's bracket, that bottom matchup, Optic Gaming versus Denial. Of course, don't forget, if you missed yesterday, Denial actually took down Optic Gaming in the first round. So for Optic to actually reverse that score against Denial in the loser's bracket, of course, very much making a statement. Once again, Optic Gaming and Liquid will remain in the Pro League for the fall season, so congrats to both teams. But now, once again, we look ahead to the Pro League Summer 2016 Finals, and here are your qualified teams. 3 of them remain. You have Counterlogic Gaming, Enigma 6, and Team EnVyUs, of course, as well as Cloud9. Of course, all eyes are on CLG, right, with that 13-1.
Yeah, I mean, CLG obviously had Rami with them in their last matchup against Envy, and, you know, Snakebite said he's really excited now that they have Royal 2 back on the squad with this matchup. So, but even with Royal 2, we saw they got taken to a Game 5, which Envy potentially could have won and almost should have won. CLG came in very clutch to make that turnaround happen, but I mean, we've got a heck of a matchup here.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you look at Envy, what they were doing yesterday to E6, I mean, even me and Gaskin both kind of said, yeah, this should be E6's game. They should set the series, yeah. But they came out hot. They were fired. They were pumped. You could even see it on there. You see Mikko just setting a statement. They were ready to rock and roll, and credit where credit's due. They're going to match up now. This is going to be one hell of a match.
That's right. Of course, all 4 teams still here. You see CLG and EnVyUs in the winner's bracket. That is the match that we will see, and also Cloud9 and Enigma 6. Enigma 6 with quite a road ahead of them now, right? I think if you're an E6 player, an E6 fan, you expected them to do quite well. The only team to have taken down CLG in regular season play.
More importantly, you have to look at Cloud9 yesterday. Like you mentioned it perfectly, Andy. We all kind of expected them to be in the winners. Cloud9 took 2 initial games of a CLG, and not only that, when we got into that third matchup, they only just lost it. Right. This team looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean, those guys just phenomenal, turning things up. And everyone predicted the 4-0. Yeah. Everyone predicted the 4-0. Actually, I think Bravi predicted the 4-1, but still.
But I predicted the wrong game type. I thought it was going to be Rig Strongholds. Of course, CLG's the worst game type, and then they go ahead and win Rig Strongholds. So I think we're all a bit off there.
Yeah, well, also, I got to touch on Rain. You know, we had Rain on the podcast for week 2, and Rain had said to us he didn't think any team was going to beat CLG throughout the entire season, nor even touch them at finals. I got a chance to talk to him before this matchup, and he said, I don't think that way at all anymore. He's like, we know that we can take them to Game 5. We've seen E6 beat them, so he's confident that they are going to win this matchup.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, once again, that match is going to be right here. Counterlogic Gaming versus Team EnVyUs. Now, looking at these 2 teams, keep in mind they played back-to-back in the regular season, and those results, I'll remind you, were a 3-2 win for CLG in Week 4. Now, don't forget, that is a 50-48 win that decided that Game 5 Slayer Eden. So that series absolutely could have gone either way for 2 kills to decide it. I mean, really a statement that these teams are so evenly matched. In Week 5, though, right away, it was a little bit of a different story. It was CLG winning that series 3-1 with some pretty commanding scores. I will say once again, though, that the Game 2 Slayer, that was a regret Slayer, was also a 50-48. So if there's one thing we know, it's that Envy can absolutely hang with CLG, especially in the Slayers.
One thing that I always have to remember, and I'm sure we all remember it from back in Pro League. I mean, you saw Royal 2. When that tied game pretty much came down, the snipe from Royal 2 straight onto L-Town, but more importantly, that Hydra kill. That Hydra kill was something else, and it really was game-changing, but we have to look at what the stats say. 81% for CLG against a map win ratio on EnVyUs of 58%. That is a rather big margin.
Right, now looking over on the side of Team EnVyUs, of course, players that you will recognize here, of course, made a name for themselves throughout the Halo series. However, worth noting, Pistola and Mikun, right? Notable omissions from the Halo World Championship. Much like the European story sims, we're going to be looking to see these players make a statement, right? In Europe, we saw players who were not at Worlds who were upset. And we have a very similar story here in North America.
Exactly that, and honestly, this will be the first time this is their first H5 finals, essentially. They want to kind of stamp the name on this game.
And we got to take a look at this series layout now, which just came in, and I have to note, once again, we're starting off with the Rig Strongholds. Once again, CLG's worst game type. As you take a look at that win percentage, they are 4-5 in that game type. It is their only losing game type, only a 44% win rate. So do look out for EnVy to, of course, be capitalizing on that. And as we look at their Rig Slayer as well, they're only 1-1, 50% win rate. So this is a big opportunity here for EnVy.
One thing I want to make a note on, so I went to go see the C9 guys just before this series started, and I spoke to them about that matchup. Fair enough, we have the stats here from Pro League saying this is their worst game type. Essentially, they told me that CLG actually practiced this a lot, and it's kind of compared one of their favorites.
Yeah, and the vetoes might tell that story, right? Because you have an early Eden ban from CLG, EnVy responds with Plaza, and CLG actually opts for Empire. So CLG having the two bans there, obviously choosing them strategically, and they have to feel confident on the rig now.
Yeah, and you saw them time and time again throughout the regular season of Pro League, just constantly wanting to play that game type.
Yeah.
Even though it was their weaker game type, they're like, you know what, we need to get better. We're going to keep playing that over and over and over again until we get better. And that's the only way to get better at it. So, I mean, power to them, and they're definitely showing that they're very confident going into this. And the Stone Cold Killer Snakebite, definitely kind of the strategist of the team, getting that whole team together, going over theater and going over everything for the squad. And you got to really give a shout out to him because he's the guy working behind the curtains on that team.
And speaking of working behind the curtains, I'd talk about people like with the coaches and stuff. And this kind of goes, again, me speaking to C9 before this, the first thing that all of the members says, watch for CLG taking out Eden. Every single time, that is their worst map, and they will kind of get rid of that every single time. But again, they're going into what I've been told by many of the teams is a strong game type for them, even though the stats say otherwise.
Yeah, we're going to have to see exactly how that pans out for them. Gentlemen, before we jump into the match, any predictions for this series? It's not an easy one.
I'll let you start there, Sam.
Oh, I knew this was, you're going to do that to me, are you? Okay, so I certainly don't think it's going to be a 4-0. This is going to, I hope and pray for a Game 7, but I think CLG are going to take this 4-2.
I'm going to say CLG 4-3.
All right, yeah, I think we're going to go with a 4-2 as well. I think those first two game types could go, but I would love to see it go to a Game 7. But to find out exactly how the match will play out, we now throw over to Halo Legends and longtime teammates Elamite Warrior and T-Squared. Gentlemen.
Hello, and thank you for joining us at the Xfinity Desk today. I'm Elamite, of course, joined with the legendary former teammate, longtime friend, Tom T-Squared Taylor.
This series is going to be awesome, Kyle. I think that we're going to see a lot from this very first game. We saw C9 do so well in CTF Fathom and on the Rig Slayer, and those game types are actually in this series too. So I think Alumni and the rest of the guys from EnVy did a pretty good job of these map vetoes, and I think that these first couple games, they want to do exactly what C9 did, get CLG on the ropes early. We are playing pretty early here today, so these teams not used to playing so early in the morning. It's kind of important to get warmed up, warm that communication up. Warming up in the free-for-all doesn't really do it. You have to get your vocals going. So the beginning of this game is going to be super important.
All right, Tom, and who are you looking to start this off with? We've got Royal 2 here on the screen, and he immediately pushes to tower. This is kind of his route. Every time we've seen him play, he immediately goes for this weapon, and he is one of the best players with it, and he's already off to a good start. Yeah,
Royal 2 takes this route pretty much every single time. I'm surprised teams haven't really picked up on it yet. He does a little bit different in Slayer. He stays up top tower and goes for the sniper, but in this particular game type, he always grabs the railgun, flanks over towards that barrel side, side, and it works out so well for him. But he's going to have to contest this BR base because it looks like Envy also has the nest. So Royal 2 always does such a good job of just staying alive, using his radar, getting the railgun kill, and never just really overextending. A lot of players would just drop there to the BR or overextend and freak out, but you see that he's just so smart, realizes that he needs to get the kills and just depend on his teammates to work on the other side of the map.
And to point out as well, and maybe you can see it in the front right of your screen there, that nest just went over to CounterLogic Gaming as well. That was actually Snakebite taking that nest. He has camo, he has scatter shot, so all the power weapons going in favor of CounterLogic Gaming to get this one started, and Royal 2 Snakebite off to early starts, just putting the pain on EnVyUs here.
Yeah, Mikwin in a really awkward situation because of the fact that they may even get triple capped on here soon if the rest of CLG rotates over there. So he's going to try to go over towards the basement, but CLG has a pretty dominant setup. This is the setup that you want to have if you're CLG, and this is the spot that you want to be in if you're lethal trying to control white corner. But I do like the way that Envy split up here. They're going over towards the nest, getting grenaded out. That's L-Town. But they sent 2 and 2. They went over towards the barrel side, and they went over towards the nest. However, everyone that went towards the nest died, and everyone that is going towards the barrel side dying too. So CLG playing this one pretty well. Now they're going to probably look to get aggressive and start maintaining more control and adding more pressure when they spawn on the side of Envy.
And let's just talk about those shots that Lethal just had on Mikwin there. He was no shields for a good 10 or more seconds. Shields kept being, or stopped from being recharged by getting hit, and he was so confident knowing where his teammates are and everything like that. He committed to the charge and just stayed with those shots and ended up taking out Mikwin, and now picks up another perfect here on Pistola as well. So really everybody on CounterLogic Gaming came to play today.
Yeah. Camo coming up in 5 seconds. This is a really good opportunity for Envy to do something. Looks like they're going to elect to go for the nest instead of going for the camo. Probably not the best play here because now Lethal picks up a double. There's only one player alive. That looks like it's Pistola caught there back in the SMG. This is what CLG really thrives on, is just getting really good control, holding these setups, and capitalizing on the mistakes of the other teams. So it's going to be really hard for Envy to break this setup, especially when CLG is going to know exactly where Envy's spawning.
All right, Tom, we've got Frosty with a railgun. We got Royal 2 with camo. We got Lethal going on a tear here. Who are you wanting to keep paying attention to?
I think Lethal's looking pretty good, and he doesn't have any weapons. He's just running around with the BR, putting in work and just holding the spawns, and that's exactly what you want to do if you're Lethal. I'm really impressed with the way that CLG is coming out hot compared to yesterday when they came out pretty slow. The only way you're going to take out Lethal is when he runs out of ammo, so Envy's going to have to reset here and try to get control. I don't think they need to keep going over towards the nest. I think they need to get more tower control, try to focus on getting this railgun and push towards the barrel side.
And right now, Tom, we've got 14 kills here for EnVyUs versus the 28 kills now of CLG. So just heavily outslaying EnVyUs, and it's showing here on the score.
Yeah, and they're okay with just giving up the BR base because they have complete map control. They still have the railgun. You see everybody pretty much going on a killing spree, taking their turns. I don't think I've seen anyone from CLG even miss a shot yet. They're pretty much playing this perfectly. Not a good start for Envy. I think that the beginning of this series really says a lot. I think that, you know, this game, it could get out of hand pretty quickly. I haven't really seen anything from Envy that says that they can compete so far in this game type. And it's pretty scary because they look so strong in strongholds. When you look at previous matchups in that week 4 and week 5, they've actually fared pretty well.
And not only that, but we've already got a triple cap here out of CounterLogic Gaming, and they're showing no signs of letting up. The BR base is going towards EnVyUs here right now, although that player did have to get out being taken by Royal 2. That's going to put the new railgun back in the hands of Frosty. We've also got the new camo coming up here very shortly.
Yeah, just such good rotations coming out from CLG. Again, and they're not missing any shots. How many times have we seen a couple players miss with the railgun? Frosty literally hasn't missed a railgun shot yet. Triple cap in effect, camo railgun in their hands. This is pretty much going to be game for CLG. I don't see Envy being able to come back from this one. If you're Envy, you just got to kind of reset at this point and just be like, okay, what's the next game type, guys? We need to get warmed up. We need to just brush this off. Fortunately for them, it's going to be a best of 7, and there's the killing frenzy coming out from Frosty to start the game with a little cheeky jump, if you guys didn't know about that one, and just complete domination for CLG.
That was the most impressive performance on that game type. I will never say that Stronghold's rig is CLG's worst game type because they just put on a clinic on Team EnVyUs. And keep in mind that the last time these two teams met up on this game type, it actually went over in favor of Team EnVyUs. Now, taking a look at some of these stats here, Tom, we had Mikwin going 1 and 14
wow. Fortunately for him, it was a perfect kill. If he may have missed one of those shots, he would have got goose. So not a good start for L-Town. not a good start for Mickwin and the rest of the guys on Envy. You know, Pistola going 8 and 10. That's pretty decent considering, you know, that's more than all of his teammates combined. So, you know, definitely very scary stat line. Going into Slayer, you're going to have to pick up way more kills than that. But, you know, CLG, we saw them playing this pretty much flawlessly, not missing any shots with the railgun, not missing any shots with the BR. The rotations were on point. It kind of all started with Royal 2. Remember when I was talking about how he didn't overextend and just kind of slow played it? You can tell these guys are coming in super focused today, and they know the beginning of the series is so important. And
not only that, the first breadstick that we have seen so far here at the finals. And just to kind of give you a recap of that game, besides looking at the score 100-9, total overall slays 44 over for CLG, only 17.
Yeah, I mean,
EnVyUs.
You can go and look and be like, if that's going to be the Slayer, we could see potentially 50-20 here. It's the same map. I mean, you know, they're going to have to completely change up what they did. You can assume that the beginning strategy is going to be completely different here. You can't just give Sniper over to Royal 2 right to start the game. You have to know that he's going to grab that Sniper, go over to top tower. He's going to look mid-bridge. You can't go and just fly into the mid-bridge. You're going to have a pretty good counter strategy here to start the game. And it's hard because CounterLogic Gaming, they're just going to punish you for anything that you do wrong. If you don't try to kill the camo guy, if you don't shoot the camo down, they're going to go and swoop that up, and you're giving it to, you know, 4 of the top 8 HCS fantasy points leaders too. So everyone's so individually skilled here, and I'm just so shocked how calm, cool, and collected they are. But look at Envy, they're all smiles over there. Pistola has one of the more positive outlooks. You know, the rest of the guys very serious, but it's always nice to have someone kind of lighten up the mood because these guys know it is they're in here for the long haul. 7 games, dropping the first one, not that big of a deal, but if you go down 2-0 against the best team in the league, it's going to be pretty ugly.
I think those are a lot more looks of almost shock and amazement of what just happened, because EnVyUs has been known for their objective efficiency and being able to win games while being outslayed. And what we just saw there was CLG never letting up, and the number of strongholds that actually changed possession, was it 2, maybe 3 that EnVyUs even capped that game? Really not picking up any additional points after their initial kind of spree there. And Frosty, the rotations he made, Royal 2 with the railgun controlling tower side, Snakebite with multiple camos and scatter shots, and they just put on, like I said before, a clinic on EnVyUs.
Now the Plasma Caster is going to be pretty key here to start the game for Envy. Whoever can get that it's pretty much the only thing that you can get besides the scatter shot. You kind of trade the camo and the sniper for the scatter shot and the Plasma Caster. So I want to see who's going to be the player for Envy that actually goes over there and grabs it. But like I said, Royal 2, same strategy every single time. Grabs the sniper, goes over to top tower, and it looks like Mickwin knew that and contested that. So good play by Mickwin to try to, you know, stop Royal 2 from being really comfortable and starting the game off to a killing spree. Much better start than the previous game for them, and it looks like Envy's trying to escape with that sniper rifle.
And I really like that play out of Royal 2. He could have ran away with it, but as far as the timing goes, he knew that player was going to challenge him. Throws a perfect nades, hits the body shot, and picks up that kill. Now we've got Frosty, who ended up grabbing the camo, just barely caught that headshot on stream. Frosty now putting on a tear. Look at this combo he's got right now. We've seen Royal 2 use this really effectively. He's got the scatter shot, he's got the sniper, plenty of ammo left. Quick early lead to start this one off. Going down, picks up that kill on Pistola. Now he's going to be blocking these bunker spawns as well, so essentially CounterLogic Gaming has full control of the snipe side of the map.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to break this setup, but they are doing a nice job picking up the kills. If I was Frosty, I'd probably look to possibly dropping one of these weapons for my teammates. I know it's a really powerful combination, but you could potentially drop the scatter shot over there at the SMG and have a nice long-range weapon and also something that's going to protect your back. And you also give someone possibly the scatter shot to cover you towards the top tower. But CLG, I wouldn't doubt if they got aggressive, and that's what they're doing right now. Frosty going in with the flank, gets the intel, comes around with the scatter shot, and you know, who else besides CLG is going to go and make a play like that really aggressive? Typically we just see people just camp their back with the sniper, but CLG just so aggressive, just so well-rounded, and their communication's just so on point that they're just completely confident in charging into the other team.
And look at Frosty going for those no-scopes. I really like that ground pound kill with the scatter shot we just saw. I feel like that should be some kind of a medal, almost like a vulture. Maybe we'll get that in the next one.
The Star Killer.
It's like auto-aim.
Yeah, they don't miss. I mean, that's 3 dead now for the side of Envy, and they're just in perfect positions again. They spawn over there on the Carbine. Curious to see if they got split spawns over at the BR, if they're choking them or not. Looks like we haven't seen, yeah, Mikwin has a spawn over there, so if Mikwin could potentially come around from the snipe side, you guys can't see it. We don't have the player outlines up, but they did spawn over there on the BR side. So Mikwin getting a nice kill onto Lethal. Is going to be up to him to kind of take this guy out, but Frosty still, I don't even think, has died yet in this game, rarely missing any shots. And meanwhile, Royal 2 as well, picking up some kills and being a nuisance. But you're going to have to get the sniper out of Frosty's hands. Camouflage just still sitting there. He's just going to bait it, let Snakebite pick it up, and that's a killing frenzy. These guys are looking amazing today.
I was going to say he is 9-0, but if you were curious, killing frenzy absolutely means you are 10-0.
Oh my.
And still doing it. Frosty, my favorite thing about these player cams as well is look at this guy's face. He's not made a single expression this entire game. I don't even know if he's blinked, and he's still doing it. And Tom, talking about dropping this combination, with Frosty has it, I don't think he should ever drop it.
Well, he hasn't even used the scatter shot yet, so no, I guess he doesn't have to, but he still has 3 bullets in that thing. I want to see a 15 spree here. That would be absolutely insane. I don't think we've seen that yet in the HCS Pro League. Only a couple kills away. Oh, and I jinxed him. L-Town taking out Frosty, and if Frosty almost has as many kills as the entire Envy squad, 13-14.
And listen to this stat, Tom. Power weapon kills, CLG is 12. Power weapon kills here for EnVyUs, only 1.
Yeah, and all of those power weapon kills coming from Frosty. He completely went off with the railgun. Now he goes off with the sniper. You can see just coming in with the perfect pistol shots, but L-Town gives him the business. Maybe Frosty should have switched over to his assault rifle just a little bit earlier, and that was a potential play for L-Town to get his team hyped and say, let's go, guys, let's bring it back. Let's start stepping it up individually, and that's what you're going to need to do for Envy. You're going to have to embarrass these guys a little bit, break their confidence, because they're not missing and they're communicating so well.
I know, down by 10 here. They can absolutely bring this one back here. It's all going to start now with Pistola and this sniper rifle grabbing another kill here, starting to close this gap. They really need to be careful. They're grabbing that new scatter shot, so the power weapons are in favor of EnVyUs. And what we're looking at right now is Pistola knows that new camo's coming up. He's trying to contest it as best as possible. But Counterlogic Gaming, they're not just going to jump out there and go for it. They know you've got the sniper. They know you're watching for them. They're going to push and kill you first.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. And Pistola, you can see just how uncomfortable he was with the sniper, because his teammates were dying all around him. Meanwhile, when you watch Frosty, he was just so comfortable with that thing. L-Town, one of the best plasma caster users in the game, picking up a kill there. Knows that that camouflage is up. That camouflage is really late, so that's definitely going to throw off the teams. It's important for the coaches to keep track of that one. 7-16, so in 2 minutes that one will be coming up again. Nice job killing Lethal there for Envy to take out the camo guy. That was a pretty big priority target. Could have potentially seen Lethal go on a nice killing spree there, and that would have been pretty ugly for Envy. So that was their opportunity to possibly come back in this game, but CLG just not letting up. 14 kill lead at this point.
And that was a great play by Snakebite, picking up that kill. Gets another player weak here. Everyone's dying like flies on on EnVyUs' side here. Now that lead that we saw starting to shrink, I think it went within 9 at one point, is building back up again, and Lethal and the rest of Counterlogic Gaming just spawn trapping EnVyUs in the bunker here. They're not going to be able to do anything. And just as I say that, great shots there by Mikwin, answers back a little bit, but 41-25, what left can you do?
Yeah, I mean, you just look at how hard the kills are for Envy. They literally have to be no shields and have perfect shots in order to take out the guys that have the power weapons. For CLG, just makes it so hard on yourself. And it's like, that's why you only have 26 kills, because that's the position that you're in on the map. There's complete domination when it comes to spreading out and covering all the angles. And they're just so aggressive together on collapsing and just singling out certain players. It's so hard when you're just, you know, stuck there, can't move anywhere, have 3 players on your radar just charging you, and they have all the weapons at the same time.
And 46-26 now, just continuing to build this lead all game long. Frosty sitting at 17-3. This kid is just an absolute monster. You know, one of those conversations, who's the best one on Counterlogic Gaming? It is impossible to tell. Frosty, you could make arguments for him. Royal 2 at the beginning of both of those games, you saw amazing things from him as well. Snakebite, if you're an aggressive player, you probably go with Snakebite's the best one. It's just amazing watching these guys play.
They all specialize in different things, and they can all pretty much do anything. They're so versatile. We've seen, Frosty, he's really great at map movement and getting into sneaky spots. Lethal, pretty solid all-around player. Snakebite does the dirty work, but, when you have also really good slayers like Royal 2 and Frosty that don't miss with the weapons, I mean, all these guys can really step it up and when they have to, and kind of, carry when they have to. But, you look at, for example, L-Town. Look at the 2 games. He's had 3 kills in both games, only 6 kills in the entire series. We saw Frosty pretty much do that in a matter of minutes in this last game.
I mean, and probably even less than that. He started off with that killing frenzy this game. Thought we might see our first perfection here at the finals, but he ended up his first death there that kind of stopped that spree was him running out of ammo and messing up reloading twice. So right now, it's a best of 7 series, of course, 2-0 in favor of CLG. If anybody here in the crowd is in favor of EnVyUs, they are definitely going to need your support if they're going to be able to bring themselves back into this.
Yeah, I want to hear the crowd. Who is supporting the CLG fans? Let's hear the CLG fans get loud if there's any CLG fans out there. There we go. What about the Envy fans? If you want to have Envy win, let's hear you scream. All right. So pretty even. I think maybe even a couple more Envy fans here than CLG. So definitely, something on their side. And, going back and looking at that map veto that I was talking about earlier, and I think that everyone thinks that potentially CLG is really weak on Rig, but we're seeing that they're actually vetoing Eden to start everything. So maybe other teams can kind of pick that up. That, like you said, Stronghold's the Rig. CLG, yes, statistically now they're 5-5 after that game, but they're far from weak on that. They're really strong on the Rig, and you're going to have to look at something else when it comes to those map vetoes there. So CTF Fathom, we have seen them a little bit weaker in that yesterday against C9. Possibly a good opportunity, completely different than all of the Rig game types. CTF Fathom, can be very, very lopsided if you can get that camo and railgun in the beginning. Definitely something that Envy has to try to do. There's no way that they're going to be able to win this series if they go all 4 dead to start this game. They're going to have some sort of beginning strategy to slow down CLG, because these guys, if you just give Frosty the railgun top center, you're just going to get 3-0'd real quick.
And Tom, right now, Counterlogic Gaming through the regular season is 7-1 on this game type. And of course, if you are watching here at home, make sure you take a look at the code on your screen. Go to halo.gg and enter Sanctuary 16. And once you do that, it will be valid for the next 5 minutes or so here. You will be able to redeem your free rec packs.
Yeah, and taking a look at the body language from these guys, kind of shrugging their shoulders, saying, hey, what do we got to do to win this one? You do have Alumni behind them, with the arms crossed. Alumni, very seasoned coach. I would, definitely say probably a top 3 coach there in Halo 5. Was just so impressed with how he doesn't overclog the communication, and the things that he actually says is very, very useful. So I'm looking at him to try to rally these guys. Pistola, very lighthearted and joking all the time, but the time for joking is coming shortly to a close here when you're down 2-0 in the series.
And this is the winners bracket finals as well. So EnVyUs, they need to step it up right now, at least put up a good fight here, or Cloud9's going to be looking at, Cloud9 and Enigma 6 are going to be watching this like, hey, I hope we do match against EnVyUs. They are not playing at their full potential right now.
And that's a really good start for Pistola. He did see Mikwin fall in front of him. He does grenade his teammate there, but either way, getting the camouflage so cleanly is going to be a great way to start this for him. He's definitely someone that could potentially go huge individually, and he's a very sneaky player at the same time, so getting the camouflage really plays into his type of play style. I would say if I had to give camo on anyone on Envy, it would be to him. So let's see if he's able to, potentially get top center here, or maybe get into the flag to create some sort of commotion here and throw CLG off.
Because right now we've got Snakebite, who just dropped off of top center. He's sitting front red with that railgun, so Snakebite's going to know Pistola is top center with camo here. He gets taken, no shields in the kill feed. Just had an amazing railgun shot on L-Town. Looks like the camo just ran out, so we'll go ahead and...
Pistola didn't do much with that camo, he did, put that guy to no shields, and he does pick up that kill there, but, at the same time, CLG is pulling a flag and a couple kills going over to Envy while they were running that flag, so this is good for Ola, but you got to do a little bit more with that camouflage. You got to try to at least get into the base and try to toss that one out.
And And you've got players dying left and right here. Lethal had 2 flag pulls. That ends up getting returned as well. Both flags are back at home now. Neither team able to get any kind of clear advantages. We will have the new camo coming up in about 40 seconds or so. And Counterlogic Gaming starting to collapse on the base. I really like what we see from Frosty here. He's not taking any damage while pushing into the base. He's throwing nades, using the terrain here on the map to his advantage. Throws that flag out. It's going to go over to Snakebite here. 2 members go down for EnVyUs. They know a third one is here in Treehouse, and it absolutely is going to be Snakebite putting this one in. EnVyUs just not able to grab any kind of footing here, and just like that, new Railgun's probably going to go over to CLG as well as Lethal flies in with a Spartan charge.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing CLG just be on a completely different level than Envy, or really just any other team. That's why they have that 13-1 record. It's such an amazing record and just such an amazing run that these guys have had, and they're showing why. And you could just see with that flag capture that they got, they didn't even have any kills by the time that Frosty got into the base, and they don't miss at the same time. But one of the keys to capture the flag is a lot of people think, oh, we got to get all 4 dead and then run the flag. Well, if you just push in together and get the slays while you're pushing into their base, then you'll be able to get the flag out without having to worry about people sprinting over there and charging and getting the flag pull on the Fathom. So that's why we saw such a clean flag capture coming out from CLG.
And what I want to hear right now is what the comms are like here on CLG. Every team tries to model their own after it. It's so calm, cool, and collected, knowing exactly where and when they need to be in a location. Let's go ahead and take a listen in here with Counterlogic Gaming.
Their elbow. Kill that guy. He's in their tree. In their front base. On Re. 2 on Re. 2 weak on Re.
I see bottom mid.
Alright, they're gonna get it.
3 are bottom mid. Their garage as well, absolutely.
Double in their garage.
No, they're front, Matt. Yeah, they're in their garage.
Let's push this.
Throw the base, L-Town. Yeah. Their garage is around. Watch the big dog. Big dog's a little.
They're showing in pit. And elbow in their tree.
Rain is the one-shot pit. Get flag.
Kill me. They're flag. My fault. Bad challenge. There's gonna be one. There was one there, TJ. 100%.
I think it's not challenging. Yeah, I mean.
Alright, on TJ. Back up. Alright,
holy shit, he's gonna be top mid from the tree.
New rail in 30. I'm nading their tree.
Absolutely rain. He's on the porch.
Keep watching.
One's on the elbow, Yeah. Alright, we're in the window, rain. Absolutely their tree rain.
I'm gonna push it. There's 2 their tree.
One's their tree rain.
Probably gonna die here.
I flag absolutely L-Town. I got rain. 2 flag. Our elbow 2. Our garage. He's our garage, absolutely. Got him.
They have a spinner right here.
Top mid guys. No, rail.
Dude, top mid. No shoulder, silo.
I got him.
Top mid, last guy, mid one.
Top mid.
He's last guy, challenge. Alright, stay alive. The top mid guy's shooting him.
I got that cam.
Alright, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Top mid. I just naded you. My fault. If I kill you.
That was at 44 guys. Let's try to kill him. He's got rail on tree. Rail on tree guys. Camo is up.
I'm leaving that.
They just got it. They got it. Top mid one shot. With camo going there.
Another on a tree. Last 2. Yeah, no.
They have rail on tree.
Rail on tree, spawn their silo, Matt. Spawn their silo, and their top mid.
I'm bottom mid. Yeah, our tree Ola with the rail. He's our fit, 2 of them. With camo, our garage, 2, both our garage.
Yeah, both, they're going our elbow.
Going elbow. With camo, one of them. Rain's absolute, guys.
I can't see him, too. I got rain.
Nice, and Ola. Yeah, camo's here.
There's 2 there.
No one died. Oh my god. Nice. I got killed on the tree. Rail's
on our tree. That was camo guy, right?
Yeah, he's dead.
I got shots, he's.
Look on our tree. I backed up.
Alright.
That guy's real on tree. Back on me.
Silo right now. Silo. He'll die. Dead. I got stuck though. The tree on me. There were 2 dead here, guys. I see nothing on my death cam.
Our silo?
Yes. Somewhere around our
He's throwing nades right now.
He's weak underneath the nades.
Oh, I'm trying to get
nice. Good shots.
I'm at their elbow.
I'm top mid right now, guys.
There's small door. There's small door right now.
Nice. I can't pull this up.
I'm running the silo. Pull the silo. Yeah. Frosty.
They're gonna spawn elbow.
Silo right now. Lethal, he's already
I'm gonna die with this, guys.
Yeah, we can't really stop that.
Big door shot.
One shot pit. Our pit.
Watch the flag.
Yeah, it was great. I can't really. There's 2 there for it.
Weak bottom center and our silo. Roll to our silo.
Middle 2. Our silo.
Looking at our silo.
He's in there, gen.
On the middle on our silo.
My body's looking on the middle.
That's our silo. That's our silo. They're court. Pop. Snake bite.
Yep. One shot from the base.
Good pop.
I'm trying to push through to the other side.
They're camo door.
Jump up. Our court to our silo.
Our porch.
Yep.
Rogan, now guys.
I got that. I got top center down.
Watch out, there's 4 guys.
Our porch and our flag.
Watch out. The flag.
I got one.
He's in the gen. He's in the gen.
Camel's at 43.
Gen. Snake bite might go for it. Yep. Oh, no.
Camo at 43.
Okay. Camo
Watch out, bottom.
43.
I couldn't do anything, dude. Bottom
Okay, okay,
he has it. He's towards their base.
I'm trying to look at Camo. If he goes to jump up, I'm gonna have a nade. They're nading 3.
They're going tree.
They're going for it. It's up.
Watch out, lethal.
Up center.
Go for Camo.
Silo weak, Railgun. Camo is up, yep. You get it.
I ain't got it. They're gonna kill me.
Rails on me, there's Silo.
Their tree kill me.
Sorry, I can't help you. Base, one shot.
They're court weak.
I burnt Camo. That's like 35.
Yo, Rail on the Silo. I'm fucking pushing.
I'm pushing up.
I'm gonna die. There's Silo really weak with Rail.
You might want to run. They're gonna have rail.
They're jumping at the top.
I hit the core.
You guys are
I'm trying to get the tree roll.
This guy pushed in front of their base.
Yo, I'm into or something. Two guys running. Our tree. Two guys pushing. Two guys pushing.
I got one. Another other.
Rusty, what shot?
Red pit weak.
Send a flag, roll 2. Watch out, flag, roll 2. Nice, and there you go, flag, roll 2.
I'm here, Tim.
I'm lit, use one shot.
Our court. One shot. Good job.
Nice.
Roll 2's 1. Roll 2's 1. There's 2 on me, guys.
I can't
No help, no help, Tim. No help.
I can't stick one, yeah. 2 to
Yeah,
court.
yeah.
1 with their elbow.
Our elbow, dude. One was
Okay,
through.
okay.
Yeah,
Watch to the front base.
Whoever's spawning, watch the guy.
Okay.
One to the front. One to the front.
Flag, flag, no.
Their tree behind me. One flag, one shot, and
Flag,
like
dead. Jump, one shot.
It's a 2v2.
I got one.
2v3.
I got one. Weak, snake bite.
Go for Reek.
Watch out, guys. I need help. Roll, snake bite.
He ran.
Let's go there.
I'm leaving flag. We're going there.
Yep. Our tree.
I got snake bite. Hitting our elbow.
watch out, tree. That's their
Oh, let's
tree.
push the top center. Weak, Frosty. Dead.
Watch out here. Stuck to our tree. Lethal's still one.
Together here. Let's go.
Austin's there. Austin's here.
Okay, I'm going back here.
Roll two.
It's absolute.
They're pushing Austin. Go to the window when you get your shield.
I'm right here. They're gonna nade.
You're going now?
Our nades flank me.
He's on the nades. Weak. Roll 2. One shot.
One shot at Vic.
One shot. Got it. Another guy. Last guy.
One shot on our elbow to flag.
Yeah. But they're two right now.
He's gonna pull for sure.
Where's he going with it?
Looks like quick.
I can't stop that. Railgun too.
Rail?
I'm gonna go there.
I'm gonna try to get top mid. I'm gonna try to get top mid and get angle.
I got it.
One shot top mid. Snake bite.
And you can see the communication pretty even for both teams. A lot of small talk coming out, and I think the intensity is starting to pick up for Envy. You can tell that they weren't communicating nearly as well in the first 2 games. So I think that the series is going to be evening out just a little bit more, but CLG now going up 2-0 and just looking so strong overall. They're just so calm, cool, and collected. You can see there's no, they're even joking in the middle of the game, talking about, hey, why'd you challenge that, bro? So they're just feeling so good about themselves, so confident, and it's just because of how much they've practiced all of these different scenarios and just how individually skilled these guys are.
I mean, every time they get into a 1v1, there's a high percentage chance that they're coming out ahead there. And as you saw, players from EnVyUs trying to run across the middle of the map, and out of nowhere, you'll see 2 players on CounterLogic Gaming both just jump at the same time and instantly melt those players. The teamwork from CounterLogic Gaming is arguably and pretty much undoubtedly the best in North America and probably best in the world.
Yeah, and you saw a possible cap coming out from Envy when it was a score of 1-1, but this is probably going to be over here. CLG going to be put this one in 3-0 and go up in the series 3-0. This one is not over yet, though. It is a best of 7. We have seen reverse sweeps before, but judging how CLG is playing, I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop them, not just in this series, but today.
I couldn't agree with you more. This team is playing not out of their minds necessarily, but they're playing like the CounterLogic Gaming we knew at Halo World Championship.
They brought their A game today. You know, we saw their probably C game or B game yesterday. I think that C9 brought their A game yesterday, and that's why we saw such a close series. But this is definitely not the Envy that we're typically used to seeing. I think, L-Town maybe having one of his weaker series definitely has to step it up individually. We're used to seeing him, go huge. We talked about just on Coliseum how he pretty much owns that map, but overall, I think that was 7 kills in that game, 3 kills in that game, so 13 kills overall. That's just not going to cut it over a 3-game span when you're trying to beat the champs.
I couldn't agree with you more, and we talked about it as a key to victory here. L-Town needs to step up and go huge. We've seen it from him before. We've seen it on maps like Regret. We've seen it on Coliseum, where this guy won't be +10, +15 as far as the stats. Yeah. And most of the Slayer game types that EnVyUs has been able to take are when L-Town specifically is the one going huge. We've seen big stats out of Pistola especially as well, but I believe most of the time it's Pistola on top of the leaderboard. They've actually fallen or dropped those games, but just recently, I think it was week 5, we saw L-Town drop like a 21-8 or something like that on a close Coliseum game. So he is able to completely take over a game and essentially put the team on the back for a Team Slayer game. We know they have such good objective play, but going up against this CounterLogic Gaming squad, they are not making any mistakes, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and I was saying this yesterday, but Strongholds on Empire is probably the last game type that you want to play when you're down in a series 3-0, because again, in the beginning of this game, probably the most snowball-y game type out of all of them in Halo 5, because of the fact that it's just so small and fast-paced that when you're playing at such a high level, if you end up, losing the pit or you have a triple cap on you, there's not much that you can communicate in order to retake back the setups, because it's just so fast-paced and hectic, which really favors CLG because of the way that they communicate. So it's going to be really hard for, we can see the keys to victory, to control the pace of this actual game here when you're down in this series, and you can see the body language. They're just a little bit upset here. They knew that they had to come out hot in this series. Being down 3-0 to these guys just makes it that much harder.
I mean, and when you're in a series like this with the best team in the league, you cannot let any games slip out of your fingers.
No.
In the previous matchup that they went to that game 5 in week 4 here, that 50-48 Slayer victory here for Counterlogic Gaming in overtime over EnVyUs was that one that slipped through their fingers. Now, also their second matchup, they did fall short again. The Slayer regret game, 50-48 once again, like the analysts and everyone were saying before the series got started. If you want to beat the best team, you cannot essentially choke on any games or give up any of those deciding last-second games.
You have to pretty much play perfectly. You can't just choke on games. You can't even choke in certain scenarios on the games. And we saw C9 not capitalize on that rig Strongholds where Ninja got the double kill, didn't turn around, and they and CLG desperate capped Basement right under their nose, and then didn't win that fight against Snakebite to eventually go and give CLG the first win of that series. And then CLG didn't drop a game after that. So momentum and mental aspects of Halo in full force in such like you're saying, taxing game. When you're just completely having to focus as much as possible, and these guys are going to have a really strong start to this game. And it looks like Frosty's able to pick up that overshield. That's not what you want to see out of Envy. Seeing Pistola go down to Lethal picking up a double kill. That's 3 dead now with the overshield in hand. This should be able to mean the pit for CLG. They get it, and this is exactly the opposite start that Alumni and the rest of Envy wanted.
And this is CLG picking up right where they left off before, already with the overshield, already grabbing control of the power weapons. We've got Royal 2 with the saw as well, controlling tower side, just kind of crouching in there, and Frosty himself getting taken out. We'll go take a look through his eyes and what he's up to. Actually, he is working together with Frosty right now. They've got 2 hills. Wouldn't be surprised if they start to collapse here on red base as they're picking up a lot of slays. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at his screen, see what he's got going on. Has the saw, looks like he is in fact out of ammo with that weapon as well. Oh no, full ammo with that weapon. So he's still got a lot of time to put the hurt onto EnVyUs. And of course, EnVyUs doing a good job recapturing that blue base. It's essentially what you have to do. It's a constant flipping of the map essentially. But as soon as enough people are dead and Counterlogic Gaming can capture this hill and then quickly rotate back, it's going to be a triple cap non-stop slaying fest on EnVyUs.
Yeah, they're just going to rotate back and forth, and it looks like they're going to do so by going outside. Looks like that's going to be the strategy, and holding outside is pretty important, especially since the overshield was moved from the pit over to outside, and that was to give an opportunity to the teams that don't have control to possibly take back control. But CLG obviously knows that. We can see just switching from point of view to point of view, a killing spree. Every single player has stepped up individually here, and 1 point only coming out from Envy. At least they do have that one, so we're not looking at a potential goose here. But if you're going to do anything here for Pistola, you got to get these kills outside and make your way over towards the overshield. But he thinks that he has to go over towards the pit because they're losing the series so badly. He needs to just focus on getting control here because CLG has the timer on that and they're going to be pushing outside.
Good shots from L-Town here. I like what we're seeing from EnVyUs. They are setting up pretty effectively around this overshield. That will go over in his hands. That's about a 9:44 pickup, so about 2 minutes for that next respawn there. Marcus, our Alumni, will be timing that. This might be an opportunity to get some kind of control. Generally, it's nice to go for the side bases before concentrating on pit just because of the size of the map and how quickly someone off spawn can get and collapse onto pit. It definitely helps out your cause there, going for the 2 side bases. And then once you know one of the bases is being captured, there's a player committed to that base and you can potentially have a numbers advantage while taking pit.
Yeah, and it looks like that was going to be the strategy coming out from L-Town. Typically, you see people grab the overshield and make their way over towards the pit, so thought that was pretty interesting. Let's see if that works out for them, because this is the first time we are actually seeing some sort of setup coming out from Envy. But again, if you don't have control of the pit, no matter what, you don't have control of the game. So I thought that it would have been best if L-Town would have used that overshield to at least get some sort of control, maybe get the guys out of tower for CLG, try to maybe pick up the saw and try to hold the pit, because if you give CLG the pit, they're not going to lose it the entire game, just like they haven't so far.
And triple cap now back in favor of CounterLogic Gaming. Envy is basically off spawn, gonna get stuck in tower. CounterLogic Gaming just needs to wait, just stay alive, wait. Envious has to make a move, or this one is going to end very quickly. They are wrapping up that time. They know there's several players over at blue base, and they still have control of towers. So Snakebite, instead of overcommitting or running to that base, he's just like, hey, you guys can have this. We're still racking up time. Eventually, we're gonna migrate back over there and then kill all of you.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Envy, they only have probably 2 good pushes here, and one of those would possibly involve the overshield. So if they can again lock down outside and pick up this overshield, and Mickwin completely out of position, this battle doesn't really matter because he's gonna get the saw. But the big fight is for outside here. Yeah, Royal 2 eventually coming up and getting the cleanup. So Mickwin a little bit out of position here, and like I was saying, maybe only 1 or 2 more pushes here. If you don't pick up the overshield, this series is over for Envy.
As soon as Royal 2 grabs us with the saw, I'm sure he's gonna just go over and attack Envy is here and make sure that they close this one out, and by closing it out, closing out the series as well, as it's already a fast 3-0 that we're looking at. And great job by Rain, actually. That should not have happened. That's pretty uncharacteristic.
Yeah, I mean, that was big. That's all 4 dead now for CLG. Now we see the pit finally going over to Envy for the first time, and Royal 2 spawns right where he lost that saw. But nice job by Rain. If he would have just given up that kill very easily to Royal 2, Royal 2 would have still had a lot more overshield, made his way over towards the pit, and we would have saw, CLG just close this one out. So that's exactly what they needed to possibly bring this back. It had to be a huge individual play like that.
And I was going to say, really good job by Royal 2 spawning there. Good play by him, but he ultimately gets taken out again. That's 3 more down for CLG. We do see EnVyUs finally here starting to make a run, get themselves back into this game. But like we were talking about earlier, if you give up one of those free wins, you let one of these games slip through your fingers against CounterLogic Gaming, you're going to get hurt for it. And whether or not they're going to be able to close out any more games or even bring this one remotely close, get themselves back into this, that's still another story.
If Envy can continue to hold this setup and possibly walk away with this one, this is definitely the momentum swing that they need to not only come back from a 3-0 deficit, they can just say, hey guys, look how much we came back from this potential game, this game right here. Now, we can do that the rest of the series, and that's what you want to see in the winners bracket finals. These games, I was expecting them to be a lot more close. We're finally seeing signs of life coming out from Envy, and I really hope that they continue to play like this throughout the rest of the day in the series, because I want to see everyone bring their A game.
The Royal 2 just getting that return. Mickwin with the crowd shots makes Royal 2 miss. Great job by him. Frosty, however, is there to clean up those kills, and he's going to rotate over to grab this new saw. We've also got the new overshield getting ready to spawn. Blue base going in favor of CounterLogic Gaming. They're going to be putting points back on the board here as every base is essentially falling. You do have EnVyUs quickly working on getting the other base here, but with pit falling to them as well, we got to go take a look. Snakebite letting that pit go so we could concentrate on the overshield. Good teamwork so far out of EnVyUs. They did take away a lot of that overshield, but good job by CLG, always just pushing across. I'm interested to see if they're going to go for the base or just focus on the pit here, but EnVyUs is starting to die, and that's not good if you're trying to hold setup.
Yeah, if Pistola, the last guy alive here, he's going to have to defend and contest the pit. Otherwise, CLG is going to be able to take this one. It's going to be very hard to come back. It looks like a ninja coming out onto lethal from Pistola. That was sick. Let's see if they're able to capitalize on that and get the reset. Looks like they have been able to. No, they have not. So that's going over to CLG. CLG getting control of that pit. One more push here coming out from Envy. That was a really nice ninja from Pistola. If the rest of his team was able to follow up and get the reset on that, they would have been able to come back possibly and take this game. However, like I said, one more push here. This is it. If they're not able to take the pit, this one's going to be over. And a couple players dying is not going to work in their favor. Pistola again picking up a kill onto Snakebite. L-Town getting a kill as well. Looks like he's going to be the only last line of offense here. And while he's taken out, that should be mathematically impossible now for Envy to walk away with this win, which means CLG is going to be winning this series 4-0, Kyle.
And wow, I did not expect it to be this much of essentially kind of a blowout. CounterLogic Gaming just asserting their dominance over EnVyUs and pretty much everyone else in North America. And if that was in fact the Ninjas, I don't know what else it could have been to pick up a kill there, unless there was some sort of like team nade that came in. That was an amazing job, and I'm sure Lethal was probably just kind of laughing about that one, if that in fact is what happened. But Pistola basically doing the only thing he could in that position to contest the hill, try to stay alive, and just too little, too late, and Envy is going to fall short to CLG.
We saw a couple good, individual performances from Envy for a couple of seconds, but they weren't able to tie that, along for a really long time. And this was, one of them. Rain just being super annoying over here, going against that overshield guy. I don't think that was that particular highlight, but that was the type of kills that Rain needed to get for his team. But they needed to be doing it a lot earlier in the series, kind of get CLG tilting and try to, get some momentum on your side. They were never able to, string together anything positive besides that one, time that they were able to take the pit back. But other than that, I mean, CLG executed things pretty much flawlessly.
And not only that, taking a look at some of the stats, 22 and 10 from Frosty out of that game. So he is amazingly positive this series. His KDA has to be insane. And of course, on your screen right now, you can see what just happened in the winner bracket finals here. Quick 4-0. Now, we do have Gaskin on stage with a CounterLogic Gaming interview. Dan, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm here with Lethal from CLG after a fantastic performance from them. That's kind of what we expected from you guys yesterday. You were a bit slow out of the blocks. Was there anything different that you did today, maybe in preparation or play style?
I mean, I can't think of anything specific. Like, we came out kind of slow yesterday, our communication especially. If there was any listens, we just didn't sound like ourselves, and C9 came out really hot. But today we were a lot more focused. We were just sitting here talking about all the game types before, something we weren't really doing yesterday. I mean, we haven't had a tournament in like 3 months, so we're trying to get back in the groove, but I think we're good now.
So you think maybe you were just a little bit rusty and out of practice, okay. And do you think there's anything that really sets you apart from other teams? Clearly you are leagues above everyone else when you see a performance like that. What is it that kind of sets you apart?
I mean, it's pretty easy when you got Royal 2 and Snakebite and Frosty doing that type of stuff. I kind of just chill. But, I mean, I don't know. We just take it more serious, I think, than other people. That's not saying they don't take it serious, but we kind of take it to the next level.
So more kind of practice and getting into it. And do you have any advice for any like upcoming players that might want to be on a stage like this one day?
Yeah, don't watch Frosty or Royal 2 gameplay to learn, because you can't play like that. Nobody should be able to. I don't know, just learn how to be a good teammate. It lets you get carried really easily.
All right, well, thanks for your time. Get carried easily is the advice from this man. Round of applause from the crowd, that's great to see. Let's let the analysts pick this one apart. So we've got one of the greatest coaches of all time, we've got one of the greatest players of all time, and we have Sims over there as well. So over to you.
Far too kind, Gaskin, far too kind. Also wise words from Lethal. Sims getting the short end of the stick there, but also on the short end of the stick is going to be Team EnVyUs, because the guys, that was quite a performance.
Yeah, I mean, starting off game number 1 and game number 2, Frosty. Dude, he just was ripping faces.
Some of the angles, yeah.
Some of the angles,
especially
because
we had back-to-back rig game types, he kind of just got to do the whole thing over again each time. You're watching highlights here from that first game. And by the way, we talked about how Rig Strongholds was CLG's weakest game type in the pregame, right? They are 4-5 on that in regular season play, and instead they come out and they win 100-9.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's not their weakest game type anymore. I mean, I think they wanted to let it be known that this is not their weakest game type anymore. And now, do they even have a weak game type?
Yeah, C9 called it perfectly. They said to me, fair enough, they scrim this all the time, they practice it all the time. This is something they are super strong on, and honestly, they proved it. That was more than all. I mean, Phil's Brad, man. Frosty, please. He was just going nuts with that
especially some of the angles he was using there in the corner, just absolutely not missing. And then, of course, things after the rig set moved over to Fathom. That was, I won't call it a quick 3-0. Certainly wasn't that quick of a match. You can see on the clock that we're actually down to the 3-minute mark before that was over. But it was a Fathom 3-0 regardless. And of course, Empire Strongholds a 100-57 victory. So an absolutely dominating fashion there from CLG. And, you know, it's also worth noting, of course, that EnVyUs does also have the worst record against these teams here at the finals. So not going to be an easy road for them, as they're going to now drop to losers and await to see the results of these next matches. But we certainly can't count Envy out just yet.
No, definitely not. I mean, but it's interesting to watch that kind of go down. It's like Team EnVyUs, when they're playing other teams, they look phenomenal. And then it feels like Envy and even a lot of the other teams, when they match up against CLG, they start to play differently. They're doing things that they wouldn't normally do. They feel out of place or out of character, and maybe a little bit timid because they're intimidated by the guys on CLG. But there were a lot of times where it seemed like plays could have been made, but players were just a little bit anxious or a little bit scared to make a move.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing. We can sit here and scrutinize the players as much as possible, but a couple of times we were like, that ground pound, that Spartan charge, you know, what's he doing over here with the camo? A couple of questionable players, I want to say, but it kind of alludes to what you were mentioning. Were they a bit worried just to get stuck on in there? Did they really want to crack on? I mean, and again, quoting what you said, Mike, looking at how they played against E6 yesterday, they were on fire, but when you match up a team like CLG, that just goes flying out the window because those boys are just, you know, that game there just proves it all.
You know, I think that's the thing that you and I were saying, right, as we were watching the match upstairs, was the speed at which CLG is playing. I think they're in proper form right now, and the speed at which, for example, they're getting you on spawn, they're grabbing flag, right? You see a lot of teams, the way they play something like a capture the flag Fathom, it's methodical, it's kills, then flag runs. It feels like CLG is able to so seamlessly blend the objective and the slaying, right? When you have Lethal in the base, he's not only getting a player weak with the light rifle, as he exits the base, right, he's looking backwards and finishing those kills with the Flagnum as he moves across. So it feels like they are indeed one step ahead.
Yeah, never giving you a second to make any decision. You have to be making your decision on the spot. You can't take any extra time because they'll punish you for it.
No time to breathe. We mentioned that upstairs. 0 time to breathe. You get off the spawn and they're on your spawn. They're waiting for you. They know, and more importantly, because of, I mean, like Dan was asking Lethal what kind of sets them apart. We see these guys streaming. We see these guys playing every single day. The practice, what they put into this game, they get out. Those angles that Frosty were hitting, they're like, why, how?
Right. And to know that a player is jumping up from Carbine corner, right, to know exactly where they are. Certainly, practice has paid off for CLG. As a reminder, for those of you watching at home, we also do have a social raffle giveaway this weekend. Just head to esl.gg/HCS Summer for a chance to win all the goodies that you see on your screen. Make sure to head over there before the end of the day to enter to be eligible to win. I myself would not mind a Cloud9 or a CLG jersey.
Yeah, definitely add that to your collection. That would be nice. A lot of good stuff there to win. And yeah, I mean, but the rest of the day, Rob, we've got
some amazing matches ahead of us. Indeed, it's going to be intense series from here on out. CLG, of course, advances, and they will wait to see exactly how everything wraps up. Don't go anywhere. More action live from LA in just a bit.